at 7:10. Roll call, Ron?
Rich Gussenberg.
Here.
Sean Kimball.
Here.
Sarah Stevens Morling.
Here.
Here. Jeff Solon. Greg Rosenblatt.
Here.
Chris Daddy. Megan Rockwell.
Here.
Dennis Ryu. Chuck Neff.
All right, and we have a quorum. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yep. Sarah, any correspondence?
I've received no new correspondence.
Okay, thank you. And nobody here for public comment. Approval of meeting minutes. From April 25th, 2024. Do I have a motion
I'll make a motion to approve.
and a second? Okay. Any changes?
The date was wrong, right?
The date was wrong.
Right,
It's the-
it's 25th.
It should have,
Yes.
I think the meeting was on the 25th, but the
Yeah.
top it said the 24th.
Right.
Any other comments, changes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving as amended?
Aye.
Unanimous. Action on submitted invoices. There we go. We have 6. O&G pre-construction services, $10,324. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved, second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. Architectural services, Tecton Architects, $240,775. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Sean? Second?
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. Owner's Representative Services, Arcadis, $6,452.68. So moved,
Second.
seconded. All those in favor? Okay, that was for Norton Elementary. Now
I'll defer
the-
to North End to you.
Now the new, now the new North End Elementary School, pre-construction services for O&G, $10,324. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Sean, a second? Thank you. Any discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Architectural services, Tecton Architects, $291,864.14. Do I have a motion?
68.
Did I say it wrong?
You said 864.
868, 291,868.14. Did I say it right that time?
I'll move that one.
All right. Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay. And Owner's Representative Services, Arcadis, $5,557.18.
So moved.
Sean seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Chairman's report, couple of quickies. We did have a community information meeting that was held on April 30th. Had, I would say, about 50 people there. We were pleased with the turnout. And surprisingly, it was held at Norton School. We thought we would get mainly people from Norton, since they're right in that neighborhood. But when we asked for a show of hands, it looked like it was about evenly divided between the two. A lot of good conversation. People were very, very positive, very supportive. Couple of questions that came up that they asked for some information on. We let them know what information was on our website, like the traffic report and some things like that. And then there was one request that was made in particular, that they get some sense of where the tree line is going to be around the property. And we have that in our packet today, which Justin will go over later on. So I've asked Jeff to make sure that that's posted. I haven't heard from anybody in particular at this point. We also had someone who lives right next to the right-of-way who had some question around where that right-of-way will actually, where the clearing will take place, how large the area is, which I guess we found was gonna be, what, 50 foot wide?
Approximately 50 feet wide.
Yeah, we would be disturbing about 30 feet, but the roadway going in between is 18 foot.
16.
16?
16 feet.
16 feet, okay. So Laurel has been in contact with this lady and said when we get to the point where we've got better layout, she'll go up and take the lady for a walk through the woods. So, anything else you want to mention on that one? Okay.
No, she also knew somebody on PZC, so she was gonna go that route too, just to see a survey. She wants to see a survey,
Okay.
besides being shown where it is on her property.
Yeah, okay.
She's headed in that direction.
All righty. We also got a note from Jeff Sullivan regarding the Fall Festival, which will be September 14th. And I had sent a note, are you
Yeah.
guys okay with that?
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
I thought last year that was a very positive day to be out there on that very hot, humid day, but we had some nice.
That was the weirdest day because of how saturated the ground was,
Yeah.
and then with how hot it was.
It was like a
It was,
steam.
it was all
It was,
evaporated.
Oh, you didn't need to take a shower.
No.
But people were very, very positive, seeing the drawings and stuff that we had then. I can imagine what they would say when we take some of the graphics that we have now and we put those out there. And so we don't need a huge number of people, but if we do have some representatives that day, that's great. I put it on my calendar.
I'll definitely be there.
Yep, very good. And that's all I have for chairman's report. We're gonna hold Tim's workshop presentation until the end of the meeting so that we can get all of our approvals while we have our quorum here, and then we'll come back to 10. Owner's rep and CM at risk, schedule update. And Laurel did say she has a throat issue, so she may not be able to
I'm sorry.
keep up with us here, but,
If I run out, that's why.
okay.
I have extra copies for if you want to give them to anybody else. Did you
Uh,
see them?
yeah,
Chris,
well, let me take 'em.
Dennis.
And Jeff in particular, I know.
One more extra. Getting more richer.
Okay, I don't know if I need all that many, but,
All right, so, the gray, I put some shading on this time, just to kind of keep us focused on what's between now and, let's say, the end of June, just to kind of give you a couple of months look ahead. Obviously, the big deal is to start bidding, so we're trying to get out to bid as quickly as we can. And I know Mark mentioned at the last meeting, there's gonna be a segregation of the phase 2. So now I've duplicated the activities and separate everything between North End and Norton. So for phase 2, all of the regulatory, all the PCR meetings, the reviews, the estimates, they're all gonna be tracked separately. So I just wanna highlight that those milestones have now appeared. I do wanna make mention that although down in construction, we do now have a staggering between North End and Norton of a start date. I am keeping the turnover, which means the completion for move-in of both schools the same. So we're basically absorbing this 2-week difference. We're basically absorbing that in the Norton schedule. But we do show this 2-week staggering now.
is there any possibility of our actually getting out earlier, getting to bid earlier than what we have here?
Yeah,
I mean, I
well,
don't
we'll
know.
go through those activities,
Yeah,
see if there's any way of shaving some time.
well,
Alright.
I'm just a little concerned about you know, we start Norton 2 weeks later, that means we're into January, and who knows what we've been lucky the last couple of winters, but, our luck could
Well,
run out,
They can place concrete in winter,
yeah,
yeah.
even with 2 feet of snow and 5 below zero.
Yeah, that could be, but, I mean, it's only 2 weeks, so that's
Well,
it's not
okay.
gonna make or break putting us into winter. It would've been ideal to start in the fall with concrete and do the steel over the winter, but
Right.
such is life. Alright, so now on page 2, so we're kinda sort of at the tail end of this OGA review period, issue and approval of bid. It's kinda what we're waiting on. I was targeting hopefully getting out to bid today, that didn't happen. Don't know, a couple days perhaps from now, but I do, if we can get out to bid, let's say tomorrow, I don't know if that's gonna happen, I'll keep the May 30th date. If it's after tomorrow, I'm gonna make it be Friday, June 7th. But either way, I'm aiming for you guys to approve these contracts at your June 13th meeting. So, you know, I just have to go a little gangbusters to get ready for you guys. But that's the plan.
What do you mean May 30th? That's the date. that
Right now, the anticipated bid due date was gonna be May 30th,
Okay.
but I don't think it's gonna be that. I think we're not gonna make that. So the new bid opening date will be Friday, June 7th. And I just need the building committee to be able to take action at their June 13th. And what that'll mean is I might be able to give you raw bid results, but I won't really be able to give you anything ahead of time for you to look at prior to the meeting, because I'll be doing scope reviews, you know, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so. Still on the same schedule of getting approved and started on site, even though we're getting out to bid later.
Okay, well, it's official now, I put it on my calendar, it says bid approvals on the 13th.
Yes.
There's no excuse for it not to
Yes.
happen.
Now, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, right? You said, you know, it's.
I did say that.
Yeah. I'd
Well,
rather-
all I was saying is it wouldn't be, anyway,
It wouldn't be the
we'll
end of the
move on.
world, that's true. If it doesn't happen for the 13th, if stars don't align and everything, I guess I would just try to aim for your 27th. So, that's where we are with phase 1.
Yeah, I mean, we could always call a special meeting for that one purpose too.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you know, push that quicker and we wanted to meet, we'll say on the 20th or something, we could do that.
And I'm gonna need to push off we were supposed to have our pre-bid meeting next Tuesday. I obviously have to push that off. I don't know if I should just reschedule to the 21st or if I should just wait a day or two. I don't know, maybe we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, wait to see if you get the letter
So
now.
we're at, but, so there's not gonna be a pre-bid meeting next Tuesday. Let's see what else. Okay, so down under, still on page 2, Rich is getting ready to do his materials testing agency. I don't know, is that on your agenda for today? No.
It's not on the agenda, but I do have a draft.
Okay, so he'll be talking about that. That's basically it for the consultants. Once they get the materials testing agency and the special inspections contract on board, that's pretty much it for the consultants for now. Page 3 is now I've duplicated the activities between North End and Norton, and you'll see that we still have July 25th for North End, which was our original targeted 90% CD set. But what that does is now everybody's got to do their estimates and their reviews off of that. The owner would do their own review of that set. Tecton will then incorporate any adjustments, revisions, and we're doing everything we can to get ready to go up to the state. So just, you know, try and keep you guys focused on when I need your approvals, just like what we did for phase 1. You're gonna need building committee, then Board of Ed. So we're targeting September 12th for North End, and then 2 weeks later for Norton, which is September 26th. So it's the same process, again, just a push out there of 2 weeks for Norton.
So,
Now, so you asked me, what can we do to get in sooner? So, the board, okay, so these activities go through the Board of Ed approval, and then if you flip to the next page, that's our PCR meeting. So you'll see for North End, the PCR meeting will be September 18th. So these are the activities that are driving us straight to the PCR. I don't know of any of these activities if there's anything to do to gain some time,
We could
because
move that
it's
faster.
only a month for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Laura, one of the things that we've been talking about in the office, understanding some of the detail-oriented questions that we're getting from our plan reviewer at the state is, and I think they would be open to this, is maybe starting the conversation earlier, even though we won't be complete with our estimates and our approvals. There are probably 5 other pages of PCR checklist items that we can probably get through.
And she's willing to do that?
Well, I haven't asked that question. I wanted to get the letters in hand before I start
Yeah.
bugging her about the
Yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
one. But my suspicion is that she would be open to that. And if that's the case, what we just don't wanna do is have that approval process end up taking 4 or 5 weeks
Right.
from the date that we meet. And based on the level of detailed questions that have been asked for a relatively benign phase 1 early procurement and site enabling package, I can expect, or we should be able to predict that we'll be going through the same level of detail. So to be able to have a working meeting, that's kind of, pre-clock, so to speak, of getting the 042 signatures and the PSCCD and ineligible worksheets, to be able to get through the design and those type of things, I think would be good.
Alright, so we'll just keep an eye on that. So again, that's the September timeframe.
When do estimates start?
Everything is starting off of that deliverable date. So in the case of North End, the estimate will be starting July, the following day, July 26th.
July.
In the case of Norton, it would be starting the following day, which is August 9th.
And what's the time frame for 3 weeks, do you think, for them to produce one?
We're giving 4 weeks to get through the estimate, and then reconciliation after that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, whether we shave any time off of Norton, because we've already gone through North End, because a lot of times you get through North End and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
right,
Norton's the
right.
same thing,
Mhm.
maybe that will help. I'm just a little nervous about Norton with our, our budget,
Yeah.
because we were tighter there, so I didn't really want to give up any time there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now on page 4 is just some remaining regulatory approvals, which this will come into play. We're supposed to be getting the phase 1 bid approval to bid letters, but we won't be able to award any contracts until these other agencies are all buttoned up, so that's supposed to be a condition of the letter. So that, again, we don't wanna lose track of these outstanding regulatory approvals. And then, again, that's another thing that's perfectly normal. You go for phase 1, you don't necessarily have the rest of this documentation in hand, but they're gonna say, well, you can't award a contract until these items are all done and over with. So in the case of North End, we've got OSTA, DEP, and the herpetologist study. And flipping over to page 5, Norton, the only thing that's really outstanding there is the DEP. So that's on both schools, is the DEP stormwater permit. And again, that's just in its normal flow right now. We knew it was gonna take this long. It's just we just don't have it in hand as of this moment in time.
So we've submitted everything.
Everything's been submitted, it just takes them a while, they have like 90 days or whatever calendar days to get through the process. So, OGA's gonna just say you can't award a contract until that's all, you've gone through that. And that'll be a condition right in the letter. And then if we flip over to page 6, you see that we're starting to head into construction. So, somewhere around middle of June, this is all the paperwork and stuff. You still won't see any boots on the ground. We're planning boots on the ground about July 8th or 9th, somewhere in that time period. Of course, subject to change. But somewhere in that neighborhood around middle of July, we should be physically showing up on site.
And that was based on going out to bid
Today,
today.
yeah.
So that number most likely is gonna be
Yeah, for every day
substantial.
push, it'll be a push.
Okay.
And both jobs right now, Norton and North End, basically showing the phase one work ending physically around the end of October. So again, North End, our big deal is it needs to sit and wait, right? So we have time, right? We're not trying to get started until December, so we have time. And in the case of Norton, that's on page 7, you see the construction activities. I have clearing, relocating the driveway, it probably won't take them 10 days. So there's time, we have time. I'm showing like an August 7th.
Isn't that what I said before you gave me
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Why we always gotta get pushed up? I don't see that culvert showing up anytime soon. I already stuck that out in October. I just think that's gonna be a very long lead item. I think that's gonna be something we'll be coming back and doing in the fall.
Yeah.
But
But
we're in the
as
woods.
long as it's done by December when we start construction, it really isn't
That's the trick.
an issue.
So, that's it for the schedule. Any questions? I can't believe I lasted.
And even the playground equipment, you said there's still access to the back of the building until we start
Yeah,
construction.
I'm not touching the field until December.
Yeah,
And now it's Christmas. It's actually Christmas break is basically when we're gonna be starting in Norton, which is actually not a bad thing, because it gives us a little bit of flexibility with starting to show up
putting
at
up
the
the
job site.
fencing and bringing
There's
in the
nobody
equipment and all
there,
that
and
stuff.
actually, kind of is probably not a bad thing, if we start right out then.
Bring-
By this 2-week
Bring your sleigh in. Okay, super. Any comments or questions on the schedule? Do an excellent job with this. I really appreciate all the detail. Alrighty, open item log. This has been redone.
It's been redone, we have closed, pending, and open. We have a lot of pendings, we have a lot of closed. So the way we talked about it at the last meeting, now that the closed items have been reviewed, there's no pushback on whether or not they are closed, we'll take those off. The open
Right,
items.
so if there, we'll take a second here and just take a look at the closed items. I did send it out ahead of time, thank you, Rich, for getting it to me. And if you have any comments or questions on those items that are noted here as being closed, this is the time to raise them. Otherwise, Rich will take them off of the list. They're still available to see,
They'll be available to see, yeah, we'll
But,
post them up on the.
but they won't show up on our printed list, so.
Yeah, and let me just say this though, they'll be available to see, but you'll have to unhide the rows.
Yeah. So let me give people a little bit, I read it over the other day, truly exciting reading.
It's very exciting, it's riveting. The only change that I made from when I sent it out to you and today is that when we got the information on the photovoltaic panels, we were able to close that, because then, we now have an idea of how many panels there are, or they're gonna be needed, and whether or not gonna be able to fit on the roof or not, which
Right.
I think,
So that was a pending item.
that was kind of open,
And
and then
now-
we were
and
still
now that's a
tracking
closed
it, we've
item.
closed that, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's number 41.
Yeah.
So we're right, okay. Any comments or questions on the closed items?
Well, only just one on the cellular repeater, which I know we did close. I think I mentioned before, there's a proposed tower in the south end for anyone who lives, or might be interested in the south end with the very poor reception down there. There is a siting council hearing on June 13th, if you are.
We did have a fairly long conversation here in the committee about that one day. We technically didn't choose to not move ahead. We chose not to move ahead the way it was being presented, where a committee member was gonna take a lead on it.
Right.
We've never really taken any formal action on it, but I also didn't hear from anyone that it was an item that they wanted to pursue.
Yeah,
And it sounded like the school people were not feeling that that was something that they wanted to expend.
There was
Much in the way
there
of
was a
money.
significant cost to
Right.
doing it, so.
Yeah, and the good news is if and when that tower is approved and constructed, the need for a repeater is far less, because the service down there will be much stronger.
Yeah.
Did you see on the north end, Sean, or on
North,
the north? Okay.
King Road.
Okay. If I hear nothing else on the closed items, then we will just direct Rich to remove those.
Okay.
If you want to take a look at the pending items and see if you have any comments or questions on any of those.
Yeah, I'll just give an overview on what the pending items are. A lot of them are questions or items that were brought up on the design documents. And the response from the design team was that a lot of that was going to be addressed in the construction documents. So the 60%, which were gonna be about, the end of June, sometime into July. So I have some dates in there that, that we've got these pending that'll go out, due dates in mid to late June. And, as we talk about the progress of the documents, we'll be able to identify whether or not, yes, those items have been reviewed and addressed. And then I can recommend that they get closed.
I don't remember where it is. It was something about the ceilings that we had, the wooden ceilings that, oh, here it is.
That's actually an open item at the,
That's an open item.
at the
okay.
end, yeah.
I don't know that I don't recall that we made a determination that that should be an alternate.
I think you did.
Did
I
we?
think it was
Yeah.
formal.
Okay.
It's the last one, actually.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way, but I think,
And that was for North End.
oh, that
because it-
says North End, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's-
think that's the only alternate
Right.
that was discussed.
Okay,
Yeah.
because we removed it in Norton, and that was an essential,
Well, I think
savings.
the budget was certainly tight on Norton, which is why we removed it, but because there was flexibility on North End, it came back as, if we can put it in there as an alternate, that would be ideal.
And was that the gym, the calf, both?
I think it was it in the hallways?
It was in some areas of the hallways.
Yeah.
What we're utilizing in the in the cafeteria and some of the, in the media center is a wood deck ceiling, which is different than the linear wood, panel ceilings that were originally slated to be an alternate after schematic design.
Oh, okay.
So these are in areas that we just would otherwise have an acoustic ceiling, just having a little bit more of a dressed up aesthetic there.
And is that for both buildings or just the North End building?
I believe it was applicable to both buildings.
Okay,
You're shaking your head, so I don't.
because this
Well,
says just North End
I'm-
here.
Yeah, I think it was just on the north end. Yeah,
We'll double check.
we can look, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because I think we took them out.
Yeah, I think we took them out anyway, in between schematic design, design development, just in the interest of focusing the design elsewhere. I think we were able to arrive at a pretty good solution without having to pull that trigger for an alternate.
Okay. But we still have the wooden ceilings in the cafeterias, right?
Yes,
But we removed it from the gym
yes.
at Norton, did we
In
remove it
both,
from the
in
gym?
both,
For
yeah.
both, okay.
There's just so much stuff that is rigged and supported in the ceiling of a gymnasium that it doesn't make any sense to treat it
Yeah, I
in
don't
that
think
way.
it would be very dramatic with all the stuff that's
No.
up there.
Right,
In fact, at least one of our members raised the question afterwards, even regarding the gym, or not the gym, the cafeteria rather, although I think it could really add to the ambiance.
it is,
of that
and
space.
we're coordinating the building, utility infrastructure there so that we're limiting the amount of stuff that's hung in the ceiling.
Yeah,
So-
there's no exposed ductwork in the cafeteria and that kind
Good.
of stuff, so,
Okay,
at least in the north end.
good.
Yeah.
Anything else on pending items? Seeing none? Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
This will become much shorter with all those closed items removed. And in June, you said you could take a lot of the pending items off. We only have, 3 open items after that, so.
Yeah.
Contract amendments, you said you had something you wanted to,
So, no contract amendments, but that we are putting a invitation to bid out for the special inspection coordinator, as well as the materials testing labs.
two separate RF?
No, it's gonna be combined as
All
one.
one.
Yeah, if you remember, I think we had proposed that we were gonna use, the structural engineers as a special inspector, and I think one of the building committee members indicated that it would probably be better if we combined it,
Okay.
as two. The way it's being written, though, is that we're gonna have two items. We'll have the special inspection coordinator and then the testing services. And you have the option, the town has the option to either accept all, reject all, or accept certain ones.
Okay.
So if the numbers come in higher than the proposal that we got from Horton Associates, then we have the option of just taking the testing lab part of it and not the special inspections coordinator.
Has the RFQ been reviewed by the attorney?
I haven't. I just finished it today. I have a draft. If anybody wants, I have a couple of copies that I can leave here. But I always send them out to Jeff D'Onofrio, and he'll review it.
Okay, wonderful. Any comments or questions on that?
So
Okay.
I should probably just say the timing on that. So we're hoping to get this out by next Wednesday, May 15th, and then bids would come back on June 7th.
All right. For approval, when's our June meeting, 13th?
Right.
So we have
Yeah.
a lot of items on the 13th to approve. Update on the Inflation Reduction Act grant. As you recall, last meeting, we had a meeting with town officials and with
CLA.
CLA, accounting firm that would be coordinating this. One item in particular that was questionable is that over a certain size, we would have to provide apprenticeships, and I know that was something that Jeff D'Onofrio had a concern about and the impact that that could have on bidding. So the news is,
So the news is that for the Norton School, it's 150 tons, and for the North End School, it's 200 tons. I brought that information back to CLA, and CLA was happy to hear that because they confirmed it was underneath the threshold.
so we would not need to do apprenticeships, and the only requirement would be
Well, they were-
prevailing wage.
Yeah,
And is there an issue regarding
Buy American.
American-made materials?
no. So, and that was the point that CLA was making, was that if it's over a certain amount, then they put the qualifiers on, which means, you have to do the apprenticeship, you have to have prevailing wages, and then Buy America. Because we're under it, we don't have to do any of that, but we're doing prevailing wages regardless because this is a state-funded project.
So the town will take it from here. Vin had talked with them about an hourly contract for pursuing this, and so we can take it as far as we want. And it looks like they were saying we could be seeing $3 million or more coming back to us at some point. And I don't know that much of anything will end up coming back to this committee at this point. I think it's something we've investigated and found out about and now handed to the town, and hopefully they'll see a $3 million check at some point. Anything else on that, Sean? No? Okay. Architects.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. More or less an administrative update this evening. We don't really have a presentation to give, although Tim Mayu, for those who haven't met Tim yet, Tim Mayu from Tecton is working on both projects, and he will be able to share his computer and screen to kind of go through the BIM 360 interface for those that have some remaining questions. In terms of your update this evening, we've included the final Phase 1 archaeological reconnaissance survey. Sounds like a very important and intimidating thing, but the recommendation remains the same. No further testing or surveying is required.
I was amazed how much detail.
Yeah, we included it in the email. We included the full page for the print version. We kind of doubled up in order to save some trees.
Definitely want to present it to the principal at some point, because, they can do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
The history of the site.
Yeah. As Richard mentioned last week, we had the Norton and North End neighborhood meeting. We provided the the presentation that we had that evening. Really just a quick summary of the site plan, a couple of images, and then getting into O&G's logistics plans. So you guys have that for record. We did mention earlier, we're continuing to coordinate the PCR submission. It's worth noting that it's been about 3 weeks since we've had the PCR, and we have been spending a lot of time going through and responding to detailed questions from the reviewer. And just today, I fielded about 6 phone calls from her as she was trying to get the letters together for the end of the week. That's her goal, but
It's Thursday.
it's Thursday, exactly. So, this is one of those, I think, casualties of their amended schedule of not wanting to meet for design development reviews. A lot of the stuff that we went over about like what work is happening off-site, what work's happening on-site, how does that relate to our estimate? What about, soil management plans? What about, water service and sewer service? All those questions she's asking us to validate during this phase. So we've had people that have been on the phone with her daily to provide those updates. So we think we're near the end, but it has been quite an intensive effort. But it'll be good to get it over so that we can then start to stage our phase 2. And for that reason, that's why we think will be beneficial to both our reviewer and our sanity to have an early interface in that PCR phase. As was mentioned earlier, we also provided the photovoltaic estimate and energy offset for both North End and Norton. The Cliff Notes version is for Norton Elementary School. We can handle the entire necessary PV array to provide 100% energy to the school on the roof. So we have a need of approximately 1,159 panels, and the roof can, accounting for all of the clearances that are required at the edges of roofs, as well as access to mechanical equipment, we're just about spot on for our available. So,
Which would make us a net zero building?
a true net zero building, yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
For the north end, just due to some of the peculiarities with the site layout, more roof area, we still will be able to accommodate a high number of PV arrays, but only get us to approximately 79% of the total energy required for the building. So we would be able to have 1,063 panels on the roof at the north end. In order to get to a true net zero building, we need to account for approximately 9,000 square feet of PV that's ground mounted, either somewhere on the open field or as part of like a carport assembly like has been done elsewhere in town. So overall, pretty good news.
Very good news, yeah. Now, remember, committee members, we do not have PV in our budget.
Right.
And that, it wasn't something that was originally part of our specs. So it would be something where either towards the end of the project, if we find that we have the finances to do it, or working with the town, some of the money that maybe is coming back from Eversource or the Inflation Reduction Act, or we may look at not purchasing panels, but doing something. I mean, there's several options that we could explore at some point down the line.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not making a commitment at this point in time that this is what we're doing and we have a net zero building at Norton.
But we're solar ready.
But we're
Yes.
solar ready and we have the capability of turning these new buildings into very efficient facilities.
Right. Okay, so some other things, we're still waiting on the herpetologist report for the north end. I can report that we're done conducting tours and walks of the site. There have not been any turtles or snakes observed on site, So we anticipate the report to say that there's no management plan for these to come out. And one of the reasons why this has taken a little bit longer is because of where we are in the calendar and where our weather has been. You know, you're not going, if it's 40 degrees outside, the chances of you finding a turtle anywhere or a snake anywhere is slim to none. So with some of the recent warmer weather, it's necessitated some additional walks from the herpetologist. So good news on that front. We continue to hold coordination meetings with facilities. We've conducted 2 vendor demonstrations for the clock paging systems, and I think the district is comfortable with the strategy moving forward. We have received, this is not part of the report, but I remembered it prior to this meeting. We have received the test data for both sites' geothermal wells, so that's being reviewed by Kohler Ronan in order to finalize the anticipated amount of wells that we'll need. Could be modestly less, could be modestly more, but we'll, stay tuned on that one. In terms of your packet, in the attachments, we included the Phase 1 archaeological survey, the BIM 360 instructional email that Tim had sent out to the group, the photovoltaic capacity and energy offset analysis memos, the presentation from the neighborhood meeting, and finally, a dimensional markup of the Norton site plan. And as Rich had mentioned, this came up. There was a lot of, there were a lot of neighbors that we haven't seen at any one of, we didn't see at Fall Fest last year, we didn't see at any of our community meetings, we didn't see at P&Z, that showed up at the neighborhood meeting to ask questions about, well, what's the extent that you're gonna be cutting down trees in the woods? And they asked for dimensions off of the property line. So in your packet is simply a site plan that we had marked up, just taking a couple of dimensions off of where the tree clearings are identified in the site plan. So for the most part, we're a healthy distance away. There's one area to the north where our infiltration basin is about 20 feet off of the property line, but that's on the other side of the canal. That is technically not an abutter's property, but you know, by the time we get to the property line, we're 43, 45 feet away. You know, by and large, around the eastern portion of the site, we're between 70 and 90 feet between our walking path and the edge of the
More
property.
than I thought we were
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah. So,
And then as Rich keeps pointing out, that's not even the canopy. The canopy
That's right.
is
Yeah.
farther out than that, so. Yeah.
so other than that, we continue to move forward in construction documentation. We do anticipate having we had an internal meeting with the Playscape vendor to just kind of go through our thoughts on the design. They are going to be updating some of the equipment that they presented to us before we present it to the district. So probably in about 2 weeks, we're gonna ask for a meeting in about 2 weeks with the district, the principals and teachers. That will be a fun one. Playscapes are awesome to be part of.
Every teacher has an opinion on
Oh,
that.
yeah. So some commonalities between the two areas in terms of the apparati that we're looking at between North End and Norton. But obviously, the North End, we have our pre-kindergarten area. We're looking to pantomime some of the Darcy experience of being able to walk through a nature path and have some areas for curriculum.
Wonderful, thank you. Comments or questions? Okay. With that, you're up.
Yep.
So I'll turn this on. Tim, I had sent you.
Yes, I got it.
You got it.
I'll see you in a minute, too.
In my inbox. So Sarah, we're gonna see if we can join the Zoom meeting so we can share the screen. Is that good? Okay.
Thank you so much.
update
It never fails.
it. I just love it
Never
when that
fails,
says
right?
it. It's updating the software, so be patient. They didn't ask you, they just said, here you go.
All my meetings are Teams meetings.
So just to give you a little, for those that weren't here, for me to introduce Tim more fully, he's not just a pretty face at Tecton. He's been one of our go-to project architects. He's also a licensed building official in the state of Connecticut, so he brings that added value when there are questions from a building official or a fire marshal. He can speak the language, all that good stuff. Anything else you want to ask? Yeah.
Need to fill some more air here.
Yeah.
Keep talking, Justin, keep talking. We're not
We're
even halfway there yet.
Those are as many flowers as all right?
Now give us the real story.
Any bad things?
No.
That'll be after the meeting.
Right.
It's not the record. Just to set expectations, I'm by no means an expert in this BIM 360 viewer we're gonna go over tonight. This isn't the software we use on a day-to-day basis for our work.
Is or is not?
Is not.
Is not.
We use Revit. That's what all the design
Oh,
team
okay,
models
that's
are.
what Chris,
Right.
one
So
of our members. was
this
talking
viewer is the ability to view those Revit models for people that don't own a $4,000 piece of software.
And it should go without saying that the models that we're posting to BIM 360 are work products, so it will not be uncommon for you to go into a room and say, oh, holy smokes, the wall cabinet is up like 20 feet. It just might be something that we're working
We're
through.
gonna see tonight, oh, there's a bunch of piping off the side of the model that somebody's
They're
working on.
stuck there or whatever.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
I said, when I went in, the kitchen was empty, so, there was, I guess they're sending on to McDonald's or something. But
Right,
there
yeah.
was nothing there that day. And I noticed at Norton, there were, people sitting in the stands in the gym, but at the north end, there weren't. So there's some differences, but yeah, we could tell there was stuff that you're still working on.
And the other piece to this is when the design team's working in Revit, all of our models are in this BIM 360 site and we're working them live, sharing them with each other, drop of the hat. But what you're seeing in this viewer is a weekly snapshot. So once a week we publish the models and that's what you're seeing. So there's a little bit of a lag to what you're gonna see versus what we're actually working on any given day.
Almost there.
Yeah. But this is,
IT,
we've started to incorporate, we were an early integrator of building information modeling. But we have only recently, the last few years, have started to appreciate the kind of cloud server aspect of our coordination with our consultants. And it allows us to have a lot more of a, real-time snapshot of where our consultants are. And it's helpful for me as well. I mean, these guys usually don't like Jeff or I to be in the models that much, so it's easier for us to go into the 360.
Let me ask Owen, when I was up in Torrington, they were sharing some software at that time where they could go into a room and you could see over time how the room developed, and you could see the pipes, and then you could see the, whatever. Is that the same software, or is that something totally different?
I think they're using
X
the
out of that.
Revit software.
That's the Revit software?
Yeah, you can.
And he
yeah,
would
there's
go
another,
through, he said, with a camera every week through all the spaces, and then that got put onto the computer, so that, down the line, a custodian wants to do something in the walls, he can find out.
That's open space, so that's just a true digital photo that's being taken of those
Oh, okay.
spaces and then uploaded to a platform.
Oh, all right,
Yeah,
okay, just
and
curious.
we will be using that here, so.
Yeah, okay. Because I know the maintenance people were very excited about the possibility of
Mhm.
having that down the line as they go to do work in the schools.
Mhm.
Do you scan with Matterport during construction? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's open space. It's a digital photograph.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Sarah, you can see a screen?
Okay, good. So this is the email I sent everybody with the links to the two projects.
Yeah.
And as I was pointing out earlier, These particular links, they were a snapshot in time of when I sent you the models, so they're a little out of date, and that's something I'll show you how to correct when you go into the viewer. So up here in the top corner saying not current. This is an old, because you can view old models and see a history of the job. You hit this pull down right here, this is going to show you all the various versions, and the top one is by date will be the most current. Select that, and it will update it for you. Now we're current. Might be a little slow here because of the Wi-Fi, but we'll get through this. So I know one of the comments earlier was, you know, what if you are upside down or below the building or something crazy? Okay. Get rid of this. Up here in the upper corner, there's this little home symbol. No matter what you do, if you hit that, it's going to kind of go back to that home default 3D view.
Got it.
If you ever get lost, just hit the home button. This.
Now we know not to trust you with anything. You turned the
Yeah.
building upside down.
Fair is
Well,
fair.
luckily, he's not actually building it.
Turn off your video, see if it'll speed it up.
I think that did it.
Yeah, sometimes it creates a little bit of a lag.
So next to the home, wow, this is just really touchy. Next to the home button, we have this little, they call it the view cube. This is another way of navigating to some basic preset views. You click on top, it's going to go to kind of a plan orientation, looking down at your building. Eventually, right with the various arrows, and just scroll around and kind of see more of an elevation view. You can zoom in, you can pan around, go back home. Over on the far left side here, you have this model browser. This is something you might want to use. Right now, everything's on. You can go through these filters here, and you can turn on and off various elements or isolate various disciplines. So as an example, and there's some preset categories. That's the wrong button. Disciplines. So I can go into the structural filters, and these below it, these are all the various categories that are on. Say I just want to see the structure, I can start hiding things, roofs, ramps, and it's going to start isolating just the various elements that you want to see. You do the same thing with ductwork, mechanical. Why it's not showing everything. May just be an internet connection issue. There we go. Again, these are now all the ductwork and mechanical units in the model. So if anybody wants, one of the engineers on your committee wants to look at some of the duct routing, they can do this.
Have we made this available to our maintenance staff?
Yes.
To
Yes.
Rich Clavitt? Okay.
Yep. When you're zoomed in on some of these elements, if you select something like this mechanical unit, you right click, and there's a properties tool that'll kind of tell you what it is and give you some basic information on it. So this is our DOAS 4 mechanical unit. And again, over
Is this
here.
on the roof, or is this?
This is a roof. This is a roof unit. Yeah.
Those are all to scale and size.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Everything is exactly.
The base, yeah, based on what we're specing for the basis of design, it might be slightly different depending on what gets bought out during bidding. And again, a lot of things are there when you right click on something. So you could right click and isolate the single element. You could use this as your pivot point. So when you do start to spin the model, you're spinning around that particular element, which is pretty useful when you're building this large. Turn everything back on. Now down at the bottom, this orbit is by default what we're doing. I'm just holding down my left mouse button and kind of just rotating around. I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Kind of the basic way of viewing the models. The hand is for panning. That's just more for kind of moving side to side, up and down. You have some zoom features here where you can zoom, fit the model to your window. And then this one is zoom window. So I want to just get a nice detailed view right there. You can navigate in. And then zoom back. We'll cover this little person later. That's for like a kind of a first person
That's
walkthrough.
what I used a lot, yeah, the walk.
Yeah. It is a little, your computers may be challenged with that, depending on what you have for a video card and hardware. But we'll see how we do.
If you have a trackpad rather than a mouse, is it different or you just?
Well, it's going to be harder to use a trackpad. A mouse is going to be much easier to navigate, but you can do it. This right here, this sectional analysis tool, this is pretty nice. So these are establishing various cut planes to the building. So this one would be adding a horizontal cut through the building, and this this tool here comes up. Where'd it go? So you can see the arrow. It's kind of hard to see, but by pulling that up and down, I can adjust where that horizontal cut through the building is taking place. So now I'm kind of in more of a floor plan view.
I think you're in the slab on your cut plane.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now we're on the second floor.
Yeah, it's with everything turned on too, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to turn some things off. Back to that sectional tool, you can do the same thing with horizontal sections of the building. There's a little arrow here. That means there's more features under that tool. Any one of these that has an arrow, that means there's additional hidden options. So we can go back and I can set an x-axis cut, find that same arrow symbol, and you can drag and cut through the building anywhere you would want to see. Why is this doing this? I'm gonna have to go
It's
home.
gonna end up upside down.
Yeah.
See how this
It
is?
wasn't just you.
No, it wasn't just him.
Let's see if he turns it inside out.
The same thing.
Don't build a building upside down, please.
You rotated the cut too.
Yeah, you can rotate the cut too, which is a little.
Yeah, it's like at an angle.
It's pretty amazing though.
It's a little glitchy here on the Wi-Fi. It's making it a little hard to.
Maybe go to
Navigate.
the person.
The
Do we
person.
have three preset views?
We do not right now.
Okay.
It was fun, when I was doing it, it was fun to go into the media/library, especially on this school, and see the sort of silo and the hay bales and that sort of area, which we had seen before in the other static images, but to kind of play around with it was pretty neat.
So the person, the first person viewing, when you enable that, let's go back, because these are the basic navigation elements when you're in that. any of your gamers, this is typical video game keyboard shortcuts. Your walking, moving features, your arrow keys, your mouse will also work. And the other one that's important is your up and down controls. Q to go down, E to go up. You can just move your mouse to change the way you're looking. Some speed adjustments with plus or minus. And then over here there's a little floor plan. And that blue dot is you. You can hover over that blue dot and move it to anywhere in the building, so you don't have to actually walk and navigate to that point.
I actually walked through.
I didn't, I was just so proud I was walking.
Here we are in our cafeteria, and you can see and look wherever you want. It's going to take a minute to regenerate the model if you move around a lot, or really quickly change your point of view.
Yeah, it was nice to see the two-sided stage when we were
Yeah,
playing with
yeah,
both
you could walk
schools.
right through.
Yeah.
Because it was all open.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine was almost automatic. I didn't get
Yeah, mine was
this in between.
I think it's because of the Wi-Fi
Yeah,
and
might
the
be.
speed. It's going to be
And
purely
I was
dependent on
doing
your
it at
speed.
home, but
The faster your internet speed, the faster your computer video card, the better it's going to perform. So right now we're kind of limited by the.
I was able to actually walk and
Yep.
go up on the stage and into the gym and look around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that's stay in the stage for a second and pan over to the side. So this is from my perspective, you know, when I'm walking through, I know that I have a conversation with our mechanical engineer about what we're doing with that thing. So having the fully integrated model allows us to kind of see
Right.
some of these things where
Is there any meaning to the fact that there was the red things there? Is that?
None whatsoever.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was
No.
Just to
somebody.
draw,
Other
just to
than-
draw your attention to
Somebody
it.
said this
Other
thing
than
is
my
not connected
concern.
yet or something, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
That's
So you're
Yeah.
saying, I don't really want that pipe hanging there.
Well, I know, so that's not something that would be readily apparent if you're looking at a two-dimensional drawing, right?
Right.
So I know probably the reason why that's there is because that's an exterior wall up there and they're looking to route it. So it means that we have they're looking to route it on the interior. So it means that we need to have a conversation about, okay, let's see if we can offset that somewhere that it's not going to be as apparent from, say, the cafeteria looking into the stage.
And while we're talking about colors, just something I want to point out is the colors you're seeing in the model, they're just generic representations to get some sense of space. It's not the finishes that we're going to see. We don't get into that level of modeling of every space.
Will you eventually, or is it?
No, unless
No,
we're
you
going to
never
render,
do.
unless we render something, a particular view, then we'll get into that level, but you still wouldn't see it in this viewer. We'd only see that once we actually hit a render button and process it.
Okay. And now I see you have the equipment. When I went in, there was nothing in the kitchen.
I mean, that is the basic kind of functionality of this. There are some measuring tools, so you can snap the points and, hey, that's an 8'3" opening, or,
Tim, can you print right from any screen, or is there, are you?
I'm not aware if you can print from this. I don't believe you can. I haven't found that yet.
You can do like a screen capture.
You
Yeah.
definitely do
Yeah,
screen
right.
capture,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
And we can-
If I just go to print, it'll print whatever pages are. Yes.
Whatever you're seeing.
Yeah, whatever you're seeing.
Are the light fixtures in the model yet?
They are, yes.
They are, okay. Is there anything that's missing, like major?
All the
At this
major
point?
stuff is there.
Okay.
I mean,
Is there below slab piping, like the sanitary? Just curious.
some,
Okay, storm.
Yeah, it should be there. I think maybe some of the final distribution connections to like toilets and sinks and things probably aren't.
They're currently working on that.
But the mains should be.
Yeah, like I was
Like
talking.
the generator outside's on it?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I see it.
This is some random plumbing stuff that
Oh, yeah.
Kohler Run's working off the
Yeah.
side.
From Marion
You
Road.
kind of see the level of detail
Yes.
they actually do get into.
Just realistically, they're gonna be there.
Yeah, those are the kinds of things that come as a surprise when the construction is going on and you suddenly say, well, I didn't realize.
I mean, we knew that because Marion Road's up high, you know
Yep.
you're gonna, we would
You'll
ask,
be
I think we
looking-
asked that at a meeting.
You're looking down at the building.
How much you'll see on the roof, it was helpful to see that.
But for Marion, for Marion, you're looking at mostly peaked roofs.
Yeah, but you'll see behind them.
I'm not.
If you get up at the corner of Marion,
We can also give your team access
Yeah.
to this as
you're
well.
looking at,
Yeah, we
you're
usually
looking at that
look for it when we're doing our
pre-K
estimates,
building,
but
yeah,
yeah, just to like
that's on a
look
flat
around.
roof area.
Yeah, there's a couple of
Small
on the side more than
Yeah.
these peek out
Yep.
from the peaks.
Yep.
It's a subscription.
Sure it is. Sure it is.
Yeah,
That's how we're getting.
Justin has the ability to turn it off.
that's right.
Everything's
Just-
great.
You can't,
Set
yeah,
up
you
an
can't have
automatic
it roof
Right.
at the same time.
So not-
I think the fact that we have so many peaked roof areas is going to, yes, I went for a walk through the library, which I absolutely loved, went up the little steps,
Yeah, that was the best part.
yeah. So back in about 1967, I took a graphic arts course. I have my T-square and my French curves and all that stuff at home still, but I guess I can't use any of those things anymore.
They still make you do that at first. I just finished like a year and a half of hand drafting.
Did
So,
you? Yeah.
It's an important skill to
It is.
understand what a section actually is.
Yeah.
And making sure that you draw it first. There's just because some of the challenges with this is not many understand how to like detail how things go together anymore. Because when you're building it in the model, I was always taught you have to draw it like they build it. So you put your foundation, you draw your foundation wall, then you draw your steel,
Yeah.
and then you draw the block. But here it's different. It's all
Where we do the three
it's all
different
together.
views from the front, from the
Yep.
top, from
Yeah.
the side.
Yep.
You know, what are hidden things that you have to put the little dotted lines in, and you know, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
What's that red thing there?
That's the silo.
That's a silo.
That's the
Oh, that's the silo,
in the
okay.
library, or
Right.
whatever we call media.
Oh, and you took off the roof, got it.
Yeah. It's still cut at the second floor.
It's not enough books.
I'll add more.
We'll launch a kit up there.
Those are the hay bales.
Right. Anybody any questions or things that you've tried they've had problems with? Have you all tried opening this on your laptops?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I
know.
know.
You two have.
I have, you have.
Yeah, it's great.
Greg,
It's
have
fine.
you?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
But you all have my email, so if you have any
Questions.
questions or
Get in touch with me.
Get in touch
Sarah,
with
have you
me.
tried using it at all?
So I was gonna say I need to reach out to you, Tim, because I have a different Autodesk account for my work, which I tried, and now the link says it won't work, so I might need a new invite. Sorry.
That's not a problem.
I will get my Autodesk sorted, and then I will email you.
I can just resend the invite. It takes
Thank
seconds.
you.
No, I had a ball with it, it's, you know, fooling around, but I know that unfortunately, a couple of the guys who aren't here tonight have more technical expertise and, you know, wanna go in and take a look at things like electrical systems and stuff like that.
Yep. Both of them, I believe, use Revit, which is the native software we use.
Yeah.
So this can be fairly intuitive for them. I don't think they're going to need any help.
Well, I know Chuck told me he feels very comfortable with it. I haven't spoken to Chris at all. You know, and I don't want the committee, you know, micromanaging the design team either. But I think you do get a nice sense walking through the building and get a feel for the way things have come together and, you know, how going from space to space in a way that it would have come as a surprise come, you know, May of next year when suddenly I'm walking through and saying, I didn't realize there was gonna be a big column sitting there or whatever.
Good.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming down from Massachusetts for us.
I work in the Hartford office.
Oh, all right. And you were in,
I was in Madison.
In Madison
for
today.
a chunk of the afternoon today for another project we have in construction.
And you're going back to the office to work, right?
Sure.
Of course. I am going to be heading out on, what day is it? 21st? On the 21st of May, and I'll be gone for 3 weeks. We're going to Thailand for a wedding. So during that time, Greg will be chairing the group. I probably will send out the agenda before I leave on the 21st. Any other items that come through, like the open items, the schedule, anything like that, send them to Greg with a CC to me, and he'll forward them out to the committee. And I'll be back before the June meeting, because it looks like the June meeting might be an interesting one. That's the 13th.
So you'll be at the council meeting this Tuesday? Or-
I'll be at the council meeting this Tuesday, although we don't have a whole lot. It's
Yeah.
not like the last couple times I've done presentations. This will be pretty short and sweet.
That's fine.
No presentation of any sort. I played around with showing him the software, but then I decided I don't think I want to go there.
Leave it to me, I'll take
And,
it.
but then I'll be home the day before, actually that morning. I'll be home the morning of the 11th of June, and you have a council meeting.
Yeah.
And I'll have no idea what's happened over those 2
Yeah,
weeks.
don't worry about that, we're good.
So either you and, or
We'll work
Greg,
something
you'll
out
work
between
that
us,
out
yeah.
as to what you wanna say to the council at that point.
Perfect.
All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, and I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved, second, Megan? All those in favor? And it is unanimous, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.